Dear fellow scholars, this is a new episode. Here today we are going to see how Google's Embodied AI, the RT2 robot, learns like a human. What is that? Well, not long ago we have looked at an incredible AI technique where Google's large language model, the amazing GPT-4, was given a robotic arm, and it learned to use it by playing with 3D blocks in a simulation. The simulation is great because we can make any environment easier or harder to manipulate, and we can make any object out of jello or slippery. Soap to test how robust the learned skills are. And it learned incredibly well. Wow. But there was one big problem. This was not a real robot. It was a virtual one inside a simulation. And as good as the results were, to be really useful, we need robots that can operate in the real world and not just inside a simulation. So Google set out to build a real robot that can learn from human demonstrations, and they have done something incredible. Now, what makes these techniques so special? There are at least 8 things that I found particularly cool. First, it is the human-like learning. How do we learn? By doing. When we are kids, we learn by doing. We grab things, we drop them, we see what happens, we try again and again. And this robot does exactly that. It does not just look at pictures of how to do things and practice with those. No, it gets out there and does it. Of course, it cannot quite yet tie its shoelaces or do a backflip like some other recent AI techniques. But it can perform a variety of different manipulation tasks after observing human demonstrations. And after that, it practices against itself. That is, it practices against a simulation of itself. And here's the beautiful thing. It learns from its own failures, and it adapts to these new learnings. And it can even improve its performance on the same task over multiple days. That is incredible. Second, it is the vision language action model. What does this mean? Well, many systems can see, many can understand language, and some can move. But usually these are separate systems. Seeing is hard. Understanding what we see is also hard. And making things happen in the real world is also hard. But this is a system that combines all 3 in one. It sees something. It understands what it means and what it could do about it. It can act and manipulate the objects accordingly. Loving it. Third, it is the generalizable skills. A true AI after my own heart. If it learns to perform a task in one simulation, it should be able to perform it in another one. After all, if we learn to ride a bike, we can ride many bikes, right? Of course, not all robots can generalize this well, but this one can. Fantastic. Fourth, it is the few-shot adaptation. Again, just like us humans. If we see a few examples of how to use a wrench, we should be able to use it for many, many more tasks. And indeed, this is what the RT2 can do as well. After seeing only a few examples, it is able to use its knowledge to perform many new tasks. Fifth, it is the real-time decision-making. Look at how fast it is. It sees its surroundings, understands what is going on, decides what to do, and it moves. All of this happens almost instantly. That is really impressive. Sixth, it is the self-improving algorithms. Do we need to reprogram it when it makes a mistake? No, of course not. Just like us, it can correct itself. For instance, if it sees that it is about to tip over, it can correct for it and adjust its behavior. Loving it. Seventh, it is the household and industrial use. Can you imagine a kitchen helper that can cook together with us? Or a smart shelf in a supermarket that picks the best fruits and vegetables for us? Or a little robot vacuum cleaner that empties its own dustbin? Or a logistics robot in a warehouse that can stack boxes on top of each other much more efficiently than today's ones that can only pick and place? Yes, please. Eighth, it is the safety. How do we know that it will not hurt us humans or the objects that we love? Well, first of all, it is trained to avoid collisions. And second, it is also trained with a reward sketching technique where we give it a reward for avoiding these harmful actions. And this is how it learns which actions are good and which are bad. And finally, reinforcement learning. Yes, with this, we can tell it when it did a good job and when it didn't. And it tries to maximize these rewards. So no, we don't need to reprogram it when it makes a mistake. It can correct itself. And all of this makes the next-gen robotics possible. Fully autonomous service robots that can operate in our environments, manipulate objects, help us with our everyday tasks, and make our lives easier. That is a huge step towards better and better AI companions, and one day, perhaps even towards AI. Robots that go into dangerous places and help us in disaster response scenarios. What a time to be alive. And who knows, perhaps one day we will even have an RT-22 in our homes. So keep up the amazing work, and I cannot wait to see what you will be capable of just one paper down the line. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to see more, please subscribe and follow. Thanks for watching and for your generous support, and I'll see you next time.